we just recently did a health equity summit, and we had so many folks talking about what we need to advance the needle on health equity. And what we heard from people like Dr. Wayne Frederick, the president of Howard University, and other folks was not enough people see youth, children of color, Black and brown kids. They are not seen as CEOs,
yes,
and doctors and scientists. People can't even envision them in these roles, so they are not preparing them to be in these roles. And to me, that's a big part of my faith, is that walking in love, like you said, helping others, reaching, sending the ladder back down, helping others reach their potential. And, you know, life comes at you too hard sometimes. And the only way that it comes at you too hard, too fast sometimes, it certainly did for me as a child, becoming a foster child, and for others. And the only way that you are going to not quit and give up is to engage your spirit.
Yeah.
And that's where my faith. So when I'm talking to people, whether I'm leading a meeting on my team or if I'm speaking on a platform, I am focused on helping people engage their spirit and not give up when life comes at you so hard, so fast, because otherwise you'll quit.
Yep.
Give up before you finish, and you'll miss your shot.
Well, Mary, I have to tell you, I feel like the first time I met you, you interviewed me for your book, and I felt that way in my interaction with you. I felt seen, I felt valued and respected. And then I invited you to speak to our low-income women entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And your preparation and care in how you showed up for those women who a lot of people literally don't see in the world. You had such an impact on them. And I feel like whether I put you in front of the CEO of one of the largest companies in the world, or somebody who is, who's struggled in life and is, been sex trafficked or whatever it is, I feel like you treat everybody the same, and your light is so beautiful. I know we've all had challenges, and you started life with some unique challenges. And but what would you say are sort of some of the most proud moments you've had as you have gone through your career? What would you say are some of those seminal moments in time for you?
I would say certainly, a lot of moments, but as you can imagine, it's the moments where I was able to help somebody. And so certainly I think a major moment for me was during my time again at Genentech, when we had discovered the first anti-angiogenesis cancer drug. So the drug that cuts off the blood supply to the tumor. And we had such phenomenal results from that. And then, of course, the price was considered high by a lot of folks. And so we started just getting hammered about the price of our therapy. And we had to do a lot of work. I won't go into all the details of what we do when you're managing a situation like that, but bringing all the stakeholders together, helping them understand our ultimate goal of wanting to cure cancer, that this was just a step, and the FDA regulations and requirements, all the stuff that plays into that. But, when we brought in all these separate stakeholders, like the patient advocates, like the payers, the regulatory bodies, and the physicians, and all these folks, we got them to a point where they said, okay, our point was, you got to let us continue, right? Mm-hmm. And so we got them to a point where they said, okay, we get it. We're going to let you continue. And it's like, okay, are you going to be a spokesperson? No, we're not being a spokesperson for you. You're kind of in this on your own, right? And so, because at the end of the day, good PR and stakeholder engagement is about getting other people to say good things about you. You can say all the great stuff you want to about yourself, but if nobody else is saying, it doesn't have the same weight. And I remember after we did that last stakeholder meeting, and I had met with my team, we were literally meeting daily as a rapid response team to deal with all of this media coverage and all this stuff. And I asked my team just before I went back to my office, okay, did anybody agree to be a spokesperson? Like, we got nothing. And I remember walking back to my desk, just so dejected. And I sat down at my desk and I looked over and there was this stack of mail. And those days, the mailroom sent everything to the head of corporate relations that they didn't know what to do with. So I had a stack of mail. And I said, well, what is this? And I picked up the first piece of mail and it says, Dear Genentech, because of Avastin, I've been able to live to see a grandchild born.
Oh my God.
Then I pick up the next letter. Dear Genentech, because of Avastin, I lived to see my grandchild graduate from high school. The next one, Dear Genentech, I celebrated anniversary. It was a stack of letters like this, Julie.
Yeah.
All the work we had been doing to educate people, to tell them about this wonderful therapy. And the best spokesperson of all was the patient.
Of course.
They didn't even know who to send the letter to. It was just like, Genentech, hey, thank you.
Yeah.
That was the most fulfilling thing to me. And so that was the next big meeting that I went back to the leadership team beyond that first one. But it was a couple of years later, obviously, about 3 years later, going back for this meeting to say, we got our advocates, our spokespeople, let's just do a campaign, not TV, because our CEO didn't want to do TV. He didn't like those running through the tulip stuff. But it's like, right? It's like, let's just do a campaign and bring some of these patients in and do a print and radio with them, take their picture, record them reading the letters, and do this across the markets. And we did that across the top 10 or 20 markets. It shut down the whole congressional hearing that we were about to face, all of that. So that just, again, it's about helping people, and people need help. If we could just keep that front and center, all this other stuff will fall to the wayside. And that's the kind of work that I'm still doing, starting with the diversity work, helping the employees within corporations, where we're finding that the biggest microaggressions and bias that employees face in the workplace comes from their immediate manager and their peers. It's not the C-suite. We focus so much. So that's why when I was at Stanford, I curated this inclusive leadership workshop, because again, I started with the employees and then obviously patients and all these other stakeholders. But the thing about the diversity and inclusion work, it's interesting. When I did all this and heard all these things from managers and supervisors and all of that, everybody talks about unconscious bias training, and unconscious bias training is good, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. It only lets you know that you have an issue. We all have biases and issues. Of course. But too many people, our society has kind of taken that to say, well, everybody has biases, issues, so I'm just going to keep doing things the way I'm doing it. That's not the solution. But what I heard from these leaders and these managers and supervisors, once I went back and shared the research and the data, and the companies had done the unconscious bias training, and the microaggressions actually increased, Julie. They did not decrease.
Why?
It was like permission to keep business as usual.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. And so, but what I heard from these folks, and I assume good intentions. So a lot of folks were like, I get it that I'm biased, but no one has told me what to do about it. And that's why I realized, oh my God, we need this inclusive leadership. And at the time there was nothing. So I curated our own for Stanford. That's a roadmap for leaders of this is what inclusive leadership looks like, and built in an accountability component, because you have to hold people.
Yeah, of course. Well, you can't change manage if you don't even have any tracking mechanism, right? Or if you're not reinforcing it. Yeah.
But I was struck, Julie, by how deeply concerned folks were, and they really wanted to do something about it. So that's the other piece that I don't want people to miss. Assume good intentions.
Yes.
Anybody gets up in the morning saying, I'm going to go be racist or go insult people or, display microaggressions.
Yes.
Nobody does that intentionally, but they do need to be aware and have their eyes open to not only that you could do it, but here's how to make sure you don't do it. And here's the road.
Yeah. Well, you know what, that is to me, when I look at this, space, and I know the bias training has gotten a bad rap, and probably fair, that just say, just having people acknowledge that they're biased is not good enough. So thank you for creating the roadmap. I think everybody needs to see a roadmap like that and implement it in their own organization for sure. Do you have any strategy or practice that you would say, okay, do these couple things and you'll be further along the road? So assuming good intentions, and then creating a pathway for inclusive leadership. What else should people know?
So one of the first things that I just strongly encourage everybody is immersing yourself in other cultures. So you're not going to be able to exhibit the empathy that is necessary for you to be an inclusive leader if you have no mindset to what diverse employees and women and LGBTQ folks are experiencing every day. So finding those opportunities, and the companies that are on that best places for diversity list, make a point of creating these opportunities for their leaders to immerse themselves into other cultures. And primarily you can do that in your organization through your affinity groups if your organization has them. But some of the companies where I work, like Comcast, NBC Universal, it was mandated that director level and above had to be actively involved in a diverse nonprofit organization on the board.
That's smart. That's
speaking
fantastic.
at them, mentoring diverse employees and other folks out in the communities. So building in these kinds of things to give people the opportunity to immerse themselves into other cultures and having these conversations. And in the healthcare field, there are just so many areas that need to be improved with the care